What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Phillip Earl, back in the building. We got a good one here, folks. Yes, we do. Let's get right into it, shall we?
Ever have racial harm?
Oh yeah, in 30 years, white people will have found out that they have no choice but to get along with those who are different from themselves. I'm not willing. I'd love to wait, but I can't. At my age, I'm not going to be here in 30 years. But we could change this situation if we chose to. During the Second World War, we called the Japanese, and you'll pardon me, but this is what we called them: slant-eyed little yellow. We didn't say that about the Germans. After the war, we rebuilt Germany and Japan. And we get along beautifully with the Japanese. That was in 1945 that we finally won that war. How many years ago was that? Figure that out quickly.
I'm not a math person, but
You're not a math person, but you know it wasn't that far.
Right.
And it didn't take 50 years for us to have peace with the Japanese and the Germans, even though we dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan. The Japanese hadn't killed 10 million people. Nowhere near that. We didn't drop any bombs on Germany, any atomic bombs on Germany. They were a different kind of people. We couldn't afford to do that. We killed how many Japanese people with 2 atomic bombs? And they forgave us. You want to talk about forgiveness? You want to talk about changing this thing? I cannot understand how Japanese people can stand the sight of any of us, and yet they do. I cannot understand why black people who have been subjected to the ugliness that they've been subjected to in this country can get up every morning and go to work among us and not be absolutely furious. And I don't understand why we allow white people to behave the way they do. I don't understand that. And my 3rd graders, after they'd gone through the exercise, couldn't understand it and wouldn't tolerate it. And when they went up to junior high, and a junior high teacher used the N-word, one of my former students said, "If you're going to use that word, I'm going to go out in the hall until you stop using it, because we don't use that word in this school." That was a 7th grader who told his teacher off. When we have enough students who are willing to confront people who are making racist, sexist, ageist, homophobic statements, we're going to be better off. We have got to stop tolerating the intolerable. If it's intolerable for my black cousins, and every black person on this earth is one of my cousins, if it's intolerable for them, it's intolerable for me. I will not tolerate it. I will not tolerate it. That is not that. I am required not to tolerate that kind of treatment for the people who are related to me. And that's every person on the face of the earth. If your ignorance is such that you will mistreat somebody because of your ignorance about the color of their skin, don't do it around me. Number one, I've been threatened with death lots of times. Now I say, go for it, fool. My husband died 4 years ago. Being with him would not be a bad thing for me. Death is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Living a worthless, useless life is much worse than dying.
What did that study show you?
Oh, it showed me a lot of things. Number one, it showed me that racism is a learned response.
This woman is speaking my language. I agree with everything she's saying. Now, she's not a Trump supporter. So there are some things I disagree with her on. But we have to realize that our presidents they're puppets. They're being controlled. So we put way too much into our presidents, and they're a distraction. Okay, let's dangle this carrot in front of you, keep you distracted from what's really going on. Preach, woman, preach.
Nobody's born a bigot. You have to teach bigotry, and that's what we do in this country. I found out how it feels to be on the receiving end of racism because I'm blue-eyed, and the brown-eyed children were on the top in that first day. And I found out how it feels to be treated badly by people over whom you have power because of having the wrong color eyes. I found out how it feels to be subjected to unbelievable and unreal discrimination because of a physical characteristic over which I had no control. I thought I knew about racism. I thought I knew about child psychology. I knew nothing. All I knew was what I had learned in school. And what I had learned in school was not education. What I got in school wasn't education. It was indoctrination. I was taught how to be a good American citizen. And in this country, we think that the only Americans are the ones who live in the contiguous 48 states of the United States. Americans are everybody from the very north tip of Canada to the very southern tip of South America. But we, in our arrogance, say that we are the only Americans. If you're really going to keep this America to Americans, we don't dare build a wall on the southern border of the United States, because those people, those brown-skinned people that are going to come across that border are Americans. Now we'd better choose our language or choose our behavior.
Now, today I want us to talk about Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott is
Jan Elliott. That's this white woman's name. Everybody's in an uproar about this bunny hopping, carrying on, this, that, and the other. Why are y'all bunny hopping? Why are y'all bunny hopping? Listen to me. If your white woman and her mama and her grandmama ain't talking like this woman right here, then you done made a mistake. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, let's let Evan from Kenya, let's let this man speak a little bit.
white woman who is an advocate for anti-racism in the United States of America. We have very few people like this. We have Tim Wise, we have Jane Elliott, we have John Peterson. We have a number of these people who see clearly what racism is. So I want us to watch a video where the white woman, Jane Elliott, who is an advocate of anti-racism against black people, is able to come up front to explain why you as a black person or as a white person should not conduct any form of racism, either racism or reverse racism, you know. So I want us to watch this video and then let's listen to how racism operates, the mechanics of racism, because sometimes racism can be very deceptive. And then I shall give you my thoughts from the comments. I shall give you my thoughts towards the end of the video, where we shall have a critical analysis as always. So without further ado, let's jump in.
As you can see, this young man struggles with the English language, okay? But he's pretty good. I'll give you credit, okay? He doesn't hesitate, okay? The language is choppy, he's hard to understand, but still, you got to give him credit for trying. Okay, the English language is not easy, especially when you've never spoken it. You can tell. But when he's reading off the teleprompter, that's when he struggles. But when he just comes out and talks, lets it flow out all outright, he's pretty smooth for somebody that's not from the United States and didn't get taught the English language right off the rip.
Well, I'm a third grade teacher in a country school in Riceville, Iowa, and I am here at the NAACP speaking because the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by a society that hated him because he was going to change the economic situation in this country, I did an exercise in discrimination with my third grade classroom to let my little third graders, all white, all Christian children, find out how it feels to be something other than white in the United States of America. I split them according to the color of their eyes and treated those who had their own color eyes for the day the way we have traditionally treated blacks, Native Americans, Asians, all those Jews, all those who are different in appearance or in religion. And we learned more that day than I wanted to know. Behaviors. Let me tell you something. It wasn't a study and it wasn't an experiment. I don't experiment with children without their knowledge or their permission. It was experiential education. It was giving a child an experience for the purpose of changing their brain. And that's exactly what it does every time I do it.
Now, you conducted the same study, I'm sorry, not study.
Exercise.
Exercise with adults.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And is it any different between the children and the adults?
Adults get more violent. I've been hit several times by white males, angry white males. I've had a knife pulled on me. They ran me out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania at midnight one night, 3 carloads of blacks did, to get me out of town because the teachers that I put through the exercise in a very limited way were so angry that they called the superintendent in the afternoon and said, if you don't get that bitch out of town, we're going to kill her. So they got me out of town. First time I've been scared. And the last time I've been scared. because I found out that day that they could kill me, but they couldn't kill the idea. Victor Hugo said, "No force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come." The idea of one race, the human race, is an idea whose time has come. We are not going to be able to stop it no matter what they do. They can elect Trump after Trump after Trump, and that will not stop the idea that there's only one race on the face of the earth. It's the human race, and we are all members of it. You and I are cousins. Now, if you don't like being my cousin, that's too bad for you. But we are all in the same family. We are members of the family of man.
You say that.
This is where I disagree with her. Okay. You got a few racist white people out here that make it look like the whole race of white people are bad. It's just like black people. You got a few black people out here that are undescribably bad, and they make our whole race look bad. It's the same way with white people. You got racist white people. It's a handful of them at best. White people don't want to be racist, man. They don't want no part of that. We live in a cancel culture. As soon as you say the N-word with the hard R, you're going to get canceled, okay? The N-word with the A on it, brother, we ain't getting rid of that. That's our word. The white man gave it to us. It's ours. Thank you very much, by the way, because we monetize that sucker, and we making money off of it now. My nigga. My nigga. The hell you think my nigga means? Why did Denzel say it to that white boy? Huh? Why did he say my nigga? Why? Because he was proud. I'm proud of you, bro. That's what my nigga means. Preach, woman.
All whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all, everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority. The myth of race has to be maintained at all costs in this country. Because if white people have to give up the color of their skin as being something that makes them perfect, what do they have left? If we start teaching the truth about history, if we start teaching about Nile Valley contributions to civilization, it will totally change the way we conduct ourselves in the classroom. It will have to.
That cat's been out the bag. Okay? We have systemic racism. And that's controlled by the power structure, okay? The top 1%, 2%, okay, that have all the money, all right? White people don't want to be racist. I'll say it, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. And why is that? Because racism is the purest form of stupidity, the purest form, and this woman backs it up. I don't need to say no more. White people go to college and they spend bukus of dollars going to college and getting educated. And you mean to tell me you're going to become the purest form of stupidity after spending all that money going to college? You got all these degrees. I don't think so.
Columbus didn't discover America. You can't discover a place where people are already living. But we celebrate that every October. It's a lie. We need to get over, we need to stop telling the myths and start telling the truth.
So when you tell people that they're racist, and it must have some kind of effect, because most people will say, I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist. Why, some of my best friends are black.
Right.
Yeah, and then you say, name one. Or this one, I don't see color. And when some woman says to me, I don't see color, I say, I knew that if you saw color, you wouldn't dye your hair that way. Or I say, if you saw color, you wouldn't wear that shirt with those pants. I believe that you don't see color. It's an attempt to deny skin color. And it's an attempt to deny what's wrong with seeing the color of my skin. Is it all right for you to see me kind of pink? That's okay for me. I don't mind. And I suspect that you don't mind being seen the color you are. You have a right to be what you are. And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. And as people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. I found that out when I was raising little kids. My husband worked in a supermarket. He was the head of the produce department, and they had lots of orange.
This woman spitting fire. Woo! I'm sweating. She's spitting so much fire.
That they couldn't sell till he'd bring them home, and I was feeding my kids orange juice like you never saw in your life. They began to have an orange cast to their skin. I thought they had a liver problem. So I took him to the doctor, and she said, "What are you feeding these kids?" I said, "Well, lots of orange juice." She said, "Stop it if you want them to stop being orange." Now, if you think that skin color isn't anything other than the body's natural reaction to the natural environment, get over it.
So if all white people are racist, according to you, can they be reprogrammed?
Of course they can. Of course they can. Of
How?
course they can be. It's called education. I'm an educator. The word educator comes from the
What'd she just say? I rest my case. I'm going to stop the video right here, man. Ain't even no need in going no further. She just spoke it. It's called education. And guess what that means? You can teach an old dog new tricks. We can fix stupidity. It's called education. It's called awareness. Stupid people just don't know. And when you do know, if you continue to be stupid, then we're just going to hold you accountable. Your comments, please.